Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way being recorded. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names of kicking candy ass, live in living color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. I know we're not live, but we are being pre-recorded. I'm sorry, that's just a part of my intro. It wouldn't sound right, and being recorded in here with you just wouldn't flow off the tongue that way. But ladies and gents, today I've got not one but a two-box unboxing video for y'all. I've got boxes from, of course, Severin Films and Vinegar Syndrome. That tape just gives them away. One of my favorite. Like when you see that tape waiting for you at the door, it's kind of just a good feeling in the back of your mind. It's an awesome little feeling. I, of course, dipped on the Black Friday sales, and today I finally received both packages, and I figured why the hell not unbox it for the world to check out what I picked up in the sale. If you guys have picked up anything in either sale, you can let me know down in the comments below. It's almost a three-parter, even though these two aren't in a box, so I can't really call a third part an unboxing, but I picked up not one but two Shout Factory 4K releases, and that was maybe because I was in the spending mood, and it's also kind of that right time of the year where I like to treat myself. My birthday's coming up, so I decided to double dip on these two. So we've got three different companies, three different 4K discs, a bunch of Blu-ray discs, and absolutely zero regrets on Grande's Graveyard here today. So I say we get ahead. I say we start with maybe a little Vincent here as we are trying to pop this out here. All right, we got the box open. Let's put it down here, and let's see. All right. Sorry, this bubble wrap. The bubble wrap is kind of stuck here, ladies and gents. I'm trying to pull this shit off. I got half of it out, and now we've got the other half of it out. All right, we're Gucci Poochie. So right on top here, waiting for me, is an awesome little movie. Of course, Dennis Christopher in Fade to Black. This is one of those back catalog titles that I always like to do when these sites like this have sales. Like, I'm big with Severin. I love Severin back catalog stuff because you get it for dirt cheap, 15 to 18 bones for Blu-ray. And this movie right here is really awesome, really underrated. And one I missed out on when it initially got released by Vinegar Syndrome. It was one of those where everybody and their mother wanted to buy this. It's basically, I think it tells the story of this guy who he lives for movies, and then he starts to kind of imitate them, and he goes around dressing up like some of the movies that he's a fan of. And it's a really wonderful film from what I remember. I've seen it a long time ago, so it's definitely kind of raw in my mind. So I definitely want to give this one a rewatch. Fade to Black, I remember being a really good one, and one I had to pick up. Now this one was a bit of controversy. It kind of caused a bit of controversy on the stream where me and good brother Wes, I am the Ice Lord, we were shopping, and I came across this partner label title called Limbo, which is a really cool pink cover here, a slip cover, Blu-ray disc. It's apparently a horror film from 1999, and it's kind of shot on video or shot on VHS. It's apparently going to be very low quality, even though it is Blu-ray. But the reason I kind of wanted this, I thought that the synopsis, if you will, sounded really interesting for this one, and I was like, you know what, I like dipping on weird movies that I've never heard of before. But we had to do research, Wes and I, live to make sure that this wasn't a porn, because sometimes with Vinegar Syndrome, they're a glorified porn company with some of their titles. I want to make sure I'm getting the right thing, right? We want to get horror, not porn. And I guess the color of this, the two females, I was like kind of scared that, holy shit, I hope this is not something else when I think I'm buying a horror film. But I did do my research. I did find out this is, in fact, a horror film, not a porn film. So we'll be watching this for the very first time sometime in the near future. I'm really excited. This is like it looks like a perfect, like, midnight movie, like a movie I'm just going to turn on really late at night, watch by myself, and just hopefully get offended by things like this. That's what I want. I totally want this movie to just fucking gross me out, offend me, and that's, my fingers are crossed for that. So that is Limbo from the partner label of Vinegar Syndrome. I forget which partner label, but this next one here has got to be one of the coolest artworks I've ever seen in my life. And this is a 4K slipcover, and it's actually a 4K special edition of The Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman. Yes. If that's not a fucking awesome cover, I don't know what is. That is one of the coolest fucking covers I've ever seen in my life, and it's always fun to add another 4K to the collection. In fact, it's funny, I had seen Wes unbox this on his channel, and it was one of those I immediately was like, oh my God, I need that. Like, I totally need that. Like, that cover just sells the film. It's a Paul Naschy film. He had done, I think, like 7 or so werewolf films around this time period, the early 70s, like 70, 71, 72-ish era. He also done the famous one, The Werewolf and the Yeti, because that was a video nasty. And I believe you can get that as a part of the Paul Naschy collection. That Shout Factory should put out like 2-parter to that. But it's cool to have one of his films in 4K. And I'm planning in the not so distant future in doing a vampire special. I want to do a vampire film special. And this is one of many films that I've thought about kind of diving into, and another film where this from Severin that I'll definitely be diving into vampire wise. So this is The Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman. I've heard nothing but awesome things about the transfer. This slipcover just has to go in the collection. This is a spine I kind of want to add in the collection, and for 4K, can't really go wrong. So this is The Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman. And then finally, this is one that I've held off on for the longest fucking time, mainly because of the price. The price for this was too much. It was, I think, initially listed at $80, $79.99. It dropped down in the sale, the initial sale, to about $52. And then this past Black Friday, it finally dropped to $40. And I said, you know what, $40, it's a lot, but for a 4K and for a movie that I'm a diehard fan of, I have to do it. So I finally dipped on this. All this time later, it is Paul Morrissey's Flesh for Frankenstein. Yes, starring the legendary Udo Kier. And this is a crazy special edition from what I understand. I believe Corey has this. This is, of course, you have this little box here, which is just like what they call her One-Eye Thriller, the Cruel Picture box. You have the Flesh for Frankenstein here. And I think there's multiple versions. I think there's a 3D version. I think there's of course, the 4K version. I think this is just the standard Blu-ray 3D version here, which is what I have. That's the standard 3D version, which I don't know if it has the red blue. Sounds like something's in there. You know, we can figure it out. Let's open this son of a bitch and find out, because I do not have a pair of 3D glasses. So if this doesn't come with it, I just could be screwed. I don't know. Let's see. So let's open this up and see if they have the 3D glasses. They do, and there's blood on the 3D glasses. How fucking cool is this? Okay, you know what? We could do this for the video. Why not? Whoa! Grande's Graveyard in fucking 3D, ladies and gents. We've got the budget of Spy Kids 3D, but don't tell anybody. Yeah, so this is Flesh for Frankenstein in 3D with the old slipcase I have right here. Now, it also comes with a replacement 4K disc, which I'm not sure why. I guess maybe I know sometimes what happens is they release these things so quick that they have issues, like technical issues. Like I know Shout Factory. One of the Shout Factories I got had this grease issue. It's called, I think, gassing. It's a gassing process that causes the discs and the cases to be greasy. I shit you not. Look it up if you don't believe me. But I'm assuming maybe there was issues with this 4K. So here's the replacement. This is the one I'll be watching. And then, of course, we have the other 3D version. I believe this will be the 4K version of Flesh for Frankenstein. They may have packaged this wrong, actually. They did. Holy shit. So this actually should be with the 4K, right? I have video evidence of this. They packed it wrong. So this should have been with the 4K, and the 3D should have been with the 3D. Interesting. They packed it wrong. God damn it. By God, $52.99. Granted, I spent $40, but you gotta pack this shit right. So yeah, that's Flesh for Frankenstein. It's a wonderful movie. It's one that a Video Nasty I really want to cover in the near future. Maybe on Video Nasty's Volume 4. When I just do that, I would love to cover Flesh for Frankenstein. It has one of my all-time favorite horror quotes in it. In order to understand death, Otto, you have to fuck life in the Gallbladder. Udo Kier. Just one of my faves. I love this. This is a really, really good one. I think Severin countered. I think it was Severin, or it might have been. I don't remember who did Blood for Dracula on 4K, but that was like, it's not even half as good as this. Like, because I know Andy Warhol. They had Andy Warhol's name on this as Andy Warhol's Frankenstein, and the same thing with Dracula. But this is the better of the two movies. If you're gonna watch an Andy Warhol monster movie, definitely go Flesh for Frankenstein over Blood for Dracula. You'll thank me later. But that is everything I got from Vin Sin here. But next up, little Severin films, I guess. We can start unboxing this. I guess we'll save Shout Factory for last, because in my heart, they are kind of last. I don't really like them very much. But we've got the Severin stuff. Now, I cheated a little bit here. There's, all the stuff is usually buried on top of it, but just to save time, I kind of dug it out. Of course, my little Severin sticker, little purple Severin sticker. You got to love that. So let me move the box to the side. And first up, we've got, this is one I've been wanting to watch for the longest time, ever since I got their folk horror documentary, which was 3.5-hour documentary talking about all things folk horror, and I thought it was wonderfully done. Now, the woman who directed that produced this, and I just had to pick this up. Her name is Kirla Genesi. I don't know if that's correct or not, but this is Tales of the Uncanny. This is the ultimate survey of anthology horror. I guess I don't know if it's the history. My guess is it's the history of anthology horror, because you got everything on here, right? You've got the little doll from Trilogy of Terror, the dummy from Dead of Night, of course, Fluffy from Creepshow. You got a bunch of people on here, a bunch of stuff. It's a 100-minute documentary, and it goes into some of the best horror anthology movies of all time. And I'm a big documentary guy, big horror anthology guy. I actually did a pre-recorded video where I discussed my top anthology horror films. And I figured, why the hell not do, get a documentary telling me about the history, maybe some that I haven't heard of. That's the beauty, I think, of some of these obscure documentaries, is that they give you more obscure films that you haven't seen and to kind of hunt out. That's a big reason I like watching these. But I also like to hear about, other people's opinions on segments that I like and they like alike. So this is definitely one that I've been looking forward to checking out from Severin Films, Tales of the Uncanny. Really cheap. I think it was like $15 in the sale. And I'm a big documentary guy. This next one might just be on the vampire episode whenever I do that. It's coming up. It's definitely going to be, I'm leaning towards soon, maybe even January. I don't know. But this is, of course, Jess Franco's film starring the late, great Soledad Miranda. This is Vampiros Lesbos, or Vampiros. I always say Vampiros Lesbos, but it's actually Vampiros Lesbos. I think that's how it's pronounced in Spanish, at least. Vampiros Lesbos. If any Spanish, I know enough Spanish. I think it's Vampiros. I'd be willing to bet that. But Vampiros Lesbos, whatever the hell you want to call it, starring the legendary Soledad Miranda. I have She Killed in Ecstasy from Jess Franco and Soledad Miranda as a tandem, and I love that film. So I figured this time I pick up Vampiros Lesbos, whatever the hell you want to say. I'm sorry, every way I'm saying it the wrong way or not. But this is an awesome little movie, apparently, too. I actually have not seen this, but I'm a big fan of Jess Franco and Soledad Miranda together. I just think they're a good team, and this was one of the last movies she ever did. So I kind of wanted to add this to the collection just because I liked She Killed in Ecstasy so much. And I don't know, I'm also a big fan that more companies should do this, where it does like a little window cover. Like, and you slip that off and then you get the full cover. Like, I don't know, for me, it's like, it's kind of exciting and inviting. And especially with Soledad Miranda, I guess. From what I know, though, about this apparently has amazing, striking, beautiful visuals in it. And I believe the DVD has the Spanish dialogue, the Spanish audio with Soledad Miranda's actual voice, because for people who don't know, Jess Franco was not a big post-production guy. He hated doing post-production. That's a motherfucker that loved filmmaking. He wanted to make film, and he didn't never want to do anything else. Like, that's why he made 180 something movies, man. Jess Franco loved filmmaking, but he did not like post-production. So in the case of this movie, the audio kind of got fucked up, and they have a German audio track, I believe. That's what's on the Blu-ray. And then on the DVD, you have, I guess, the maybe work print-ish version of the Spanish audio, where you can actually hear Soledad Miranda. It's not a German actress speaking over her. So I thought that was very interesting. I definitely want to hear Soledad's actual voice, because, in fact, this and She Killed in Ecstasy, it's a German cut. It's a German voice speaking over her. So it's really not her voice. It's one of those things, though, where she's one of the best actresses because of facial expression. She can just tell a story with her eyes and how she can contort her face. She was a once-in-a-lifetime talent, so I definitely want to be watching this one, ASAP, Vampiros Lesbos, from Jess Franco and Soledad Miranda. And the last thing I picked up from Severin, which I won't lie, I expected kind of a bigger, like more of a Flesh for Frankenstein type set for this. At least that's how they promoted it. At least it looked like it was like going to be a big box set. But this is the 4K special edition. I believe there's 4 discs in this motherfucker. This is a crazy special edition of Dario Argento's film, Four Flies on Gray Velvet. Yes, this was the most expensive single item I bought in the sale from either company. This was, I believe, around $55 for this. I love this movie. I think that's quite a lot of money to ask, but the fact that this has been the least accessible of the 3 Animals trilogy, right? Like, I have the nice Arrow 4K of The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, and then there is one of The Cat o' Nine Tails, although I don't own that one. This one is really, I think Mondo Macabre maybe had the only other Blu-ray ever put out of this, and that was an overseas Blu-ray. So I definitely wanted to pick this one up here on 4K Ultra HD. I'm a big Argento mark, and I want to own all of his films someday. So this is one I had to dip on. I ended up passing on the 5 Days, which was the kind of only comedy Dario Argento also directed. They released that, but for $42. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting this. If I'm getting this for 55, I'm gonna get a couple back catalog titles, and this. That's I'm not gonna go crazy. So I got these two for like I think it was 15 a pop, and then this was the big ringer, 55 bones. So yeah, do love Dario Argento. I do love the film, and I'm very excited to see the extras and all that stuff. 3 discs of extras and content. Sign me up. So Severin, we love you. I think you could have knocked the price down a little bit, or give me an actual box, like give me a Flesh for Frankenstein, like go all out. It doesn't really seem like from what I've read, and this will probably piss people off. Although I won't lie, I am loyal to Severin. It didn't piss me off as much as it maybe should have. They were saying that this was only going to be a sale exclusive Blu-ray or 4K, I should say, and I don't know how much I believe that. My guess is they're going to sell them under the table at conventions. I mean, that's my guess. I could be wrong. But also, it was sold as like, it looked like it was like a big box, like thicker than this. And this is just a standard Blu-ray, or standard case. It's nothing, there's nothing special about it, like it's not a box or anything like that, like it was marketed as. So I think that's kind of shitty. But from what I understand, the standard version, if you got the standard version for cheaper, the only difference was it came without this slip. The slip was the only reason I paid $25 more for this. So if that's the case, and that from what I've read and heard that is the case, that fucking sucks. That's lame that you charge 25 more just for a fucking slip cover. But I don't know. Severin, they've done so much good by me as opposed to bad, so I don't want to like knock them on here because I'm a fan of their stuff. Probably of the 3 that I'm talking about, they're my favorite. But I've got 2 more for you. These were not sale exclusives. If I paid full price for these, I actually pre-ordered these. I've had this one for a while, but I decided to show it since I was showing up other 4Ks and whatnot. This is probably one of the all-time great zombie movies. I mean, it's got to be in the top 5 or at least the top 3. I mean, I love this movie to death, and this is, of course, Dan O'Bannon's The Return of the Living Dead from Shout Factory 4K Blu-ray Special Edition. Awesome. I've actually already checked this out. The transfer was banging. The audio, the original 2.0 mono, absolutely the way you've got to watch this movie. I tried all the audio settings on this. Watch the 2.0 mono. You will thank me fucking later. It is absolutely the best way this movie's ever sounded, ever looked. And I love that they went with the classic MGM artwork here because you can't beat, like, I know they did a Blu-ray of this where they did newly commissioned artwork, and that was fine, but you can't beat that artwork. That's so fucking 1980s. They're back from the grave, ready to party. One of my all-time favorite horror movies, zombie movies, horror comedies, artworks. I mean, Return of the Living Dead is just one that I had to double dip on. I don't double dip often, but Return of the Living Dead is one of those movies, it deserves it. It earns it. So just want to briefly show this one up. I did get this back a month or so ago, but it looks very, very good in 4K, and I just wanted to share that. But the last one I have here, and this is the one with the greasy insides of this, but another movie that, even though I will say I never owned the Shout Factory Blu-ray, I actually still have the Critical Mass 2006 Blu-ray of this, which I figured, you know what, fuck it. I was like 10 when that Blu-ray came out. So it's time, maybe 15 years later, I would say, 16 calendar years later to upgrade this son of a bitch. And it is none other than Bob Clark's seminal Christmas horror classic, Black Christmas. Yes, Black Christmas on 4K Ultra HD. Of course, once again, I'm very happy they went with the original cover art. Now, I think there are some differences. I believe maybe it's gray, not red, the bow. And it was Silent Night, Evil Night. That was the initial title because they were afraid Black Christmas would sound like a blaxploitation film. And that's not what it is. They were afraid of that because this is around the time where films like Blackula had come out and Coffee had come out, I believe in 1973, 74-ish. This was also 1974. So I could see why they were like, wait a minute, if we say Black Christmas, they might think Pam Grier. They might think, blaxploitation when this is anything but. I mean, this is a crazy, kind of proto-slasher origin movie where so many movies that followed took inspiration, mainly John Carpenter's Halloween. I watched this yesterday. I had to check out the transfer. I will say this. It's not a transfer that's going to blow your balls off. It's not one of the best 4K transfers. I wouldn't even put in my top 15 or 20 transfers of all time. It's not a great transfer. But I don't think this is a movie that you can make look much better than they made it look. Now, I watched this with the Vivid setting on my Blu-ray player. I've never done that with any other 4K/Blu-ray I own. So maybe there's an asterisk next to this. But with that being said, I did think this thing looked beautiful. It popped. The sound is the main thing they improved. There wasn't any kind of, silent moments or anything like that. Like, I forget the fucking word for it, but there was issues with every other past release with some of the audio, and they fixed that here. And apparently there's a special feature on disc 2 where the guy goes into how long it took him to fix those issues and make it sound smooth. And they did a great job with this. And even though I'm not big on Shout Factory, and it is, I don't know if you'll be able to tell about the grease on the inside. I don't think it's going to show on the camera. No, it's not going to show. It's kind of, you can kind of see it in the light. Yeah, see that, man? It's kind of nasty. Like, see all the grease? Like, what the fuck? That shouldn't be there. And then, of course, where the disc comes out, you'll be able to see it even more, I think. If we hold the light on it. Look at all that grease. I mean, I got this in the mail 2 days ago. There should not be no fucking grease there, my guy. I didn't just eat a pizza. But I don't know. This is a 3-disc special edition. They have, a bunch of features. They have the standard Blu-ray from Shout Factory, and then this is the Critical Mass version. So you actually can see all 3 different cuts of the movie, or not cuts, I guess, but transfers, right? You can see the Critical Mass 06 transfer. You can see the 2K scan from just a couple years ago, and now the 4K ultra high definition scan, which is the best of the 3, is not even a question. I will say I definitely wasn't blown away by the transfer, but this is, again, it's a movie that it's one of my all-time favorites. It is my all-time favorite Christmas horror movie. I mean, it really has to be. Not that it has ultimate competition with anything. I think the next up would probably be Silent Night, Deadly Night, right? Like, that would be or I would say the second Silent Night, Deadly Night I like better, because you get the best parts of the first one in Eric Freeman. I mean, where can you go wrong? P2, The Lodge, those are some Christmas horror movies I really like, but none of them hold a candle to this movie right here, Bob Clark's Black Christmas on 4K ultra high definition. So absolutely love this movie. And yeah, so this is the big old stack of horror 4Ks and Blu-rays. We could show off the stack one last time. Why not? Well, I could straighten it out a little bit, couldn't I? Yeah. Goodness. Horror 4K and Blu-ray goodness. Hell yeah. Gotta love it. I don't know which one I'm going to dip into first. I mean, I've already done the Shout Factory ones because they came first. I was waiting on, I believe Vinegar Syndrome was the last one to get here. And I don't know. I don't know which one I'm going to dive into first, but you know what? It is a Saturday. I have time on my hands right now, so maybe I'll just pop one of these son of a bitches in as soon as I'm done recording this. But with all that said, I want to say thank you so much for watching. If you guys got anything in any of these sales or anything like the Shout Factory stuff just in time for the holiday season, please comment down below. Let me know if you want to talk any transfers or special editions or anything like that. Please comment down below and let me know. But everybody, have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we will catch you this Thursday only on The Graveyard. Too sweet peace, and we'll catch you next time.